The quarantine ward on Station Zereth 9 smelled of sterile fear. Dr. Aubrey Chen stood at the observation window, her reflection ghosting over the scene beyond. 17 children, various species, huddled in corners like damaged cargo no one wanted to claim. "You can't be serious," Commander Visk's translator crackled, his chitinous plates rattling with what might have been disgust or disbelief. "The Crimson Wasting has a 98% mortality rate. Those younglings are already dead." Aubrey didn't turn from the window. A small Threxian child, no more than 4 cycles old, pressed webbed fingers against the glass. The bioluminescent patterns on her skin flickered weakly, the telltale sign of the plague's late stages. "They're not dead yet," Aubrey said quietly. Dr. Chen Vilisk moved closer, his 6 eyes narrowing. "In the 3 months since the outbreak, we've lost 47 medical personnel who attempted direct contact. The virus adapts too quickly. It jumps species barriers like they're nothing. Even your precious human immune system won't. I'm going in." The silence that followed was absolute. Even the station's ambient hum seemed to pause. "Then you're insane," Vilisk said finally. "The Council won't authorize a cure for orphans with no families, no political value. It's a waste of resources," they said. "You'll die for nothing." Aubrey finally turned, and something in her eyes made the hardened commander take a step back. "My species has a saying, we don't leave people behind. I guess that includes people we've never even met." Andrew Martinez watched the video feed from the medical bay, his hands gripping the edge of the console until his knuckles went white. As Aubrey's research partner and friend for the past 6 years, he'd seen her take calculated risks before. This wasn't calculated. This was madness. "Aubrey, wait." His voice cracked over the comm. "Give me 2 more days. I'm close to synthesizing the antibody sequence." 2 days. Through the screen, he saw her pause at the airlock door. Already suited in the minimal protective gear she'd insisted Anineth to prevent obvious contamination, but thin enough to allow actual touch. She looked up at the camera, and Andrew saw the same determination that had driven her through medical school, through the xenobiology certification, through every impossible challenge she'd ever faced. "Those kids don't have 2 days. Drew, some of them don't have 2 hours. She smiled, and it broke his heart. "Besides, someone has to collect direct biological samples. You need my field data for that synthesis. There are other ways, no." Her voice was gentle but absolute. "There aren't, not fast enough." The airlock cycled. Andrew watched helplessly as his best friend walked into a room full of death. The children didn't approach her at first. They'd learned that isolation meant survival, that closeness brought pain. Aubrey stood in the center of the ward, letting them observe, letting them see that she wasn't afraid. The Threxian child from the window was the first to move. She dragged herself forward on trembling limbs, her breathing labored. The plague had turned her bioluminescence a sickly crimson, hence the disease's name. She was dying, and they both knew it. Aubrey knelt down, slowly, telegraphing every movement. She pulled off her gloves. "Hey there, sweetness," she whispered. "My name's Aubrey. I'm sorry no one's been here to hold you." The child's 3 eyes widened. In her native language, which Aubrey had learned during the outbreak, she whispered, "Touching hurts, I know." Aubrey opened her arms. "But being alone hurts worse, doesn't it?" The child collapsed into her embrace, and Aubrey felt the fever burning through the small body. She began to hum an old earth lullaby her grandmother had sung, melody transcending language. She rocked gently, and pressed her lips to the child's cool forehead. One by one, the others came, a Krillian boy with scales falling like leaves, twin Urati whose telepathic bond was fracturing with fever, a human child, one of the colony kids who sobbed when Aubrey spoke English. Each one received the same treatment, an embrace, soft words, and a kiss on the forehead. "I see you," Aubrey told each child. "You matter. You're not forgotten." Andrew watched the viral load indicators on his screen climb steadily. Aubrey had been in the ward for 4 hours. She was infected now, there was no question. But something else was happening. The children's vitals were stabilizing, not improving. The plague was still ravaging their systems but stabilizing. Heart rates evening out, temperature spikes decreasing. It didn't make sense until Andrew checked Aubrey's biometric data and saw it. Her immune system had gone into hyperactive overdrive, producing antibodies at 10 times the normal rate. And somehow, through touch, through proximity, through sheer biological stubbornness, she was sharing that immune response. Andrew shouted into the command channel, "Get me every immunology specialist on this station." Now Aubrey knew she was dying. The fever had started 2 hours ago, and the characteristic crimson rash was blooming across her arms. But the Threxian child's bioluminescence had shifted back toward blue. The human boy's breathing had eased. The twins were holding hands again. Their telepathic whispers resumed. She'd bought them time. It would have to be enough. The ward door burst open. Andrew stood there, unsuited, holding an injector filled with golden liquid. Behind him, a full medical team in hazard gear. "You brilliant, reckless idiot," he said, crossing to her in 3 strides. "Your crazy immune system did something impossible. It created a template. We synthesized it." He pressed the injector to her neck. "You're going to live. The children, all of them, enough for all of them." Aubrey closed her eyes as the cure flooded her system. Around her, she heard the medical team moving, administering doses, running scans. The Threxian child squeezed her hand. Later, when the fever broke and the ward was filled with the sound of children laughing, a sound thought lost, forever, Commander Velesk stood at the observation window where Aubrey had stood days before. "Humans," he said to Andrew, shaking his head. "You're all completely insane." Andrew smiled, watching Aubrey sleep surrounded by recovering children. "Yeah, but we're the kind of insane the galaxy needs." Outside the window, word was already spreading across the station, across the sector, across the civilized worlds. When the plague came, when everyone else turned away, a human doctor walked into death itself and kissed the foreheads of the forgotten, and somehow, impossibly, love became the cure.